Because yesterday, and I'm shocked more people aren't talking about this, dual citizen of Lebanon and America who openly identified as Palestinian went into the Air National Guard to, according to the indictment, to get military weapons training. He was just charged with 9 counts related to terrorism yesterday. Now, he had already been charged with detonating pipe bombs targeting Jewish facilities, but now, in this superseding indictment, it turns out he lied about his loyalty to the United States. He's being charged with false statements in an attempt to obtain a top-secret security clearance, among other things. Keep in mind, this is a U.S. service member that was, in fact, granted a security clearance review. He lied through 3 separate interviews before they caught him, all the while openly supporting and expressing support for Lebanon, Hezbollah, and Hamas. Look, here, page 4 of his indictment. Hamad, his name, he told others that despite joining the Air Force, he was still more loyal to Palestine and Lebanon than the United States. On his social media, he posted multiple times things like this, quote, "Been toting that K since I was a boy," pictures of him as a kid, "don't play with me." He also said, "All right, y'all say a prayer with me. Inshallah, one day each bullet in this kisses the foreheads of the Zionist oppressor. Amen," which is amen. This guy was a terrorist enlisted in our military with a pending security clearance and access to weapons. This is a real problem that's been around for a while, and it's not being addressed. I hope Pete Hegseth is on it after this. But I'm just going to come out and say it, because our intel community has, and our military and all of politics, has basically been so wrung out on DEI training that they're afraid to even suggest anyone with radical Muslim views might actually carry out action on radical Muslim views. Now, going back to the 90s, Ali Muhammad, the former U.S. Army sergeant, pled guilty in 2000 to conspiracy charges related to al-Qaeda's 1998 U.S. embassy bombing in Africa. Semi Osman, U.S. Army, convicted in 2002 on terrorism charges for hosting a terrorist training camp on his own property shortly after converting to Islam. Jeffrey Battle, U.S. Army Reserves, convicted in 2003 while trying to join al-Qaeda. Hassan Abu Jihad, U.S. Navy, converted to Islam in 1995, was charged in 2002 and convicted in 2008 with leaking classified information to al-Qaeda. Bryant Vinnest, U.S. Army, for a few weeks. After converting to Islam in 2004, he provided detailed information about New York's train system in an attempt to facilitate terrorist attacks. He pled guilty in 2009. You remember Fort Hood? Major Hassan? That guy killed 12 soldiers, 1 civilian, and an unborn child, injuring 32 more on a military base. His motives were driven by radical Islam. He's currently on death row, thank God. The FBI actually knew he had communicated with Anwar al-Awlaki, a Yemen-based al-Qaeda cleric, before the shooting, too. And yet, after that, even after that, Obama, on multiple occasions, refused to acknowledge radical Islam.
There's no magic to the phrase radical Islam. It's a political talking point. There's not been a moment in my 7.5 years as president where we have not been able to pursue a strategy because we didn't use the label radical Islam.
But even after a U.S. Army major murdered fellow soldiers, we still didn't root out this problem. Paul Rockwood, 2010, U.S. Navy, who converted to Islam in 2001, created a hit list of U.S. targets for assassinations and bombings after attending an Islamic center in Virginia. Tons of examples here. Cole Bridges ended up pleading guilty for terrorism. Ethan Melzer gave information to al-Qaeda affiliates about troop locations and movements in Afghanistan. Remember this guy, Shamsud Din Jabbar, Army? He was the one who just drove a vehicle through the New Orleans Mardi Gras party and had an ISIS flag. And now we see this stuff yesterday. I list all these names because there's a fact pattern here. But anytime